Hey, what's up, YouTube world? It's your girl, the Venusian Bull. I am back again, and we are at the culmination of the Planets in the Houses series because we are now going to be discussing the ethereal, majestic, mystical, spiritual 12th house. Yes, that's what we are getting into. So, you know how we do an introduction video. First off, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you go ahead and click that like button, and we engage over here. We discuss in the comments, so make sure you go ahead and do that as well, okay? So to kind of give a brief overview of the 12th house, and it's kind of difficult to give a brief overview of the 12th house because it's just so deep and there's so many things. It's a very multifaceted house, and there's a lot of different components to the 12th house, and throughout the planets I will be discussing different facets of the 12th house. So if I happen to forget something in one video, just don't forget to watch them all, okay? I tell y'all this in all of the videos, and also be sure that understand that these are general characteristics, and everything may not apply to you specifically because depending on what sign you have on the 12th house cusp, what aspects the specific planet is making, and things of that nature. So you have to keep that in mind. I always say that, I always stress that, okay? So the generalization of the 12th house. This is a very, like I mentioned before, this is a spiritual house. This is a mystical house. This is a house of creativity. This is a house of compassion. This is a house of artistic expression and talent of all of the arts. We're talking performing arts, visual arts, film, editing, all of that type of stuff, anything beauty related, hair, makeup, all of that type of thing. Obviously, this is a house that's big on spirituality, so anything having to do with astrology or tarot, this is like the quintessential, you know, head wrap lady kind of woman energy with the candles burning the sage, okay? This is the 12th house. That's her. That's this energy, okay? And you know, the 12th house is very akin to Pisces, okay? So a lot of these traits are going to be similar if you happen to have Pisces placements or heavy Neptunian energy as well, okay? So also, to kind of get on the negative end of Pisces, of the 12th house, this house also has to deal with imprisonment, has to deal with addiction, it has to deal with delusions and, you know, like delusions of grandeur, seeing things with rose-colored glasses, being too idealistic, putting people up on a pedestal and things like that. This also has to deal with homelessness. This has to deal with isolation. It has to deal with like mental health issues. It can literally have to deal with you drowning, like physically, because this house does represent the ocean and deep waters and things of that nature. This house also represents dreams, okay? Very prophetic dreams. So if you happen to have heavy 12th house energy, make sure you're paying attention to your dreams because that stuff just might come true, okay? It may come to fruition. This is a very intuitive house. This house, if you have this energy, you know about things that are going to happen before they happen. This is a very sensitive energy. You feel people's energy and you can tell if it's toxic or not, but just make sure, you know, that you're using discernment, you know, because rose-colored glasses and all of that type of stuff, okay? So, you know, just keep that in mind. I'm pretty sure I'm missing some things, but we'll get into all of the logistics of the 12th house and the deep ocean of secrets. Oh, secretive. Forgot to mention that. This house is very secretive, and it can also be kind of like, you know, aloof and things like that, and just, you know, kind of subdued and kind of quiet and things of that nature. And we can't forget about, unfortunately, the thievery and the cheating and the stealing and things of that nature. But it does provide some insulation, so you can be protected with this energy as well if you use it right, okay? So we're going to get into all of the logistics of that. I'm sure that as I go through the planets, I'm going to cover everything, I promise y'all. So make sure you stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe, and we're going to get into the planets in the 12th house, all right? All right, you guys. So in this video, we are going to be discussing Jupiter in the 12th house, okay? So having Jupiter in the 12th house is similar to having Jupiter in Pisces or having Sagittarius or even Pisces on the 12th house cusp, okay? All right, Jupiter in the 12th house. You are in search of spiritual freedom, okay? Not just escapism, because you love that too. Let's not get it twisted. But you are in search of spiritual freedom because Jupiter is a very spiritual planet. And the 12th house is also very spiritual in nature. So with Jupiter there, it just amasses an abundance of spiritual energy, and both positive and negative. But with Jupiter there, because Jupiter is a jovial kind of energy and spirit, you're likely to attract more of the positive entities. But remember what I always say about Jupiter. Jupiter is kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Sometimes it can be full of hot air. It can appear to be great, but sometimes not. So like when we're talking about an abundance and excessiveness and just extraness and too much, there could just literally be like too many spirits, like either attacking you or just in your presence and stuff like that, and you don't know what to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh my gosh, what should I listen to? How should I, pursue, my faith and things of that nature? This could definitely also translate to a very religious person as well. But Jupiter has a very open mind. So with Jupiter in the 12th house, again, you know how I kind of fight against that whole organized religion thing. You can be like a part of an organized religion like Christianity or Islam or Judaism or something like that, but you have a more open mind. You're like non-denominational type of church or mosque or temple or whomever. Like you're like that. Come one, come all. Like you don't have to be dressed up to go to church. You can come in your street clothes. You know what I'm saying? You want to preach the word of God or Allah or the universe to everybody. You may even be somebody who like goes to like homeless shelters, 12th house energy. Y'all be on these streets, like literally. So that's a great place, to spread the word and the gospel in your own way. Because remember, 12th house is not like normal like religion and stuff like that. It's always taking it deeper. It's always going like beneath the surface. I also like to think that, if you're black like me or, of African descent, this is probably a very good placement if you are into like African spirituality and traditional African practices and things like that, like dealing with the orishas or practicing hoodoo or vodou or anything along those lines, because it's about a deeper connection to the other side. And of course, dealing with the ancestors and honoring the ancestors and things of that nature. So this is a very, ritualistic, let me speak correctly here. This is a very ritualistic spirit. I'm not naked, y'all. I just got it. It's just strapless. I'm not topless. I just want to let y'all know y'all nasty. Okay, anyway, back to the topic at hand. Okay. So, yeah, I think this is a very great placement to be able to expand your spirituality and just have it's just boundless. Honestly, it's just completely boundless. So I think this is a very beautiful placement for that type of energy. Another thing you can have abundance of, I did mention negative entities and negative spirits, and also positive entities and positive spirits, but also an abundance of dreams. You could be having dreams all the time. Like you could take a nap and within 5 minutes you're dreaming, okay? And you can have like multiple dreams, like so many, and you're getting so many messages, and you're kind of like a little bit of a prophet with this placement. It's quite magical. So I definitely recommend, I always say with this, with any placements in the 12th house, pay attention to your dreams, but your connectivity to the other side and the other realm is so abundant, for lack of a better word. It's so much, it's so excessive. So you kind of have to like compartmentalize a little bit when it comes to the dreams and the messages that you're giving and that you're receiving and things like that. But this is a very, you know, Jupiter is a very fortunate planet, very optimistic. And Jupiter in the 12th house, Jupiter also does rule Pisces. So that also like increases the compassionate and the like the empathetic side and just the generous side. You're very giving of yourself, especially in ways that can help others like reach their spiritual potential. It's not about money really, or like any type of monetary gain. It's about, you have the gift to spiritually uplift people. You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting, and you get a lot of these signs and these messages through your dreams, okay? And through these different spirits that you happen to connect with. So with the exception of you kind of preaching to people, because you know wherever Jupiter is, they're gonna preach, okay? That's just the fact of the matter. So if you're not preaching, you're not necessarily like in your the word of God or gospel or Allah or the universe or whatever it is that you believe in. You're kind of like in your escape mode and you're secluded and stuff like that. So it really behooves you to kind of be in those spaces where you can share your spiritual knowledge, and also obviously astrology, tarot, doing candle magic, really like any kind of magic at all. Like you should be doing that. I know a lot of times religion clashes with doing magic, like religion clashes with anything usually that has to deal with the occult. Although there's, you know, ritualistic things in religion as well, like where you think they get the shit from. But anyway, but yeah, you're definitely someone that can make your dreams come true as well as others' dreams. Now, people may take advantage of you and take that kindness for weakness because you're very generous. You're a very gentle soul. You're a very fragile soul. So you do have to be careful of the people and the energies that you surround yourself with, because that can really mess with your spiritual center and happiness, and it could also mess with your spiritual freedom. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be in bondage spiritually, and that can happen because the 12th house does represent bondage, and it also represents slavery. I haven't even mentioned that yet, but it does. So you don't want to have that bondage spiritually where you're not able to expand, where you're not able to grow, and things like that. And some of these spirits and entities, which can be in human form, you know, this could be like a mother, a father, a friend, a sister, like whoever, but somebody is taking over them, a spirit, or even a spirit has possessed you and trying to get you to not follow your spiritual path, or, you know, to do like kind of the negative things associated with the 12th house. And we're going to get into that right now. Okay. So, you know, when we talk about abundance and excessiveness and extraness, well, Jupiter in the 12th house really needs to watch out for that when it comes to the drugs. Yes, we're back at the topic of drugs again, because you know, the 12th house, y'all be getting high. Y'all get high, high, high. Every day y'all get high, high, high. Every day y'all get high, high. Y'all be getting high, y'all be drinking, y'all be drinking, y'all be drinking. Okay, so y'all do all of that stuff. And with Jupiter in the 12th house, it can be kind of excessive. Anywhere Jupiter is in your chart, it could be where you overindulge, where you are overly excessive, where you are doing too much. You can even be overbearing on the spiritual tip as well. But to go back to the drugs thing, like large quantities of drugs is just like not a good idea. Like, you could even be the type of person, like, you're a spiritual healer because Jupiter in the 12th house is like innate for you, but you also, provide sustenance in the form of maybe like weed and other herbs and stuff like that, but it can still get you hot. Libations, maybe you have a little brown liquor and things like that at the altar, whatever the ancestors like, and you take a sip or you take a smoke and stuff, and you may also give that to your clients, and that's low-key why they keep coming back, because they like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that good because you're gonna have that good shit. Okay. Just keep in mind that anything in excess, especially when it comes to drugs and alcohol, is not good for your spiritual growth. It's not good for your spiritual freedom, because although this can be very much in the mind and things like that, you are susceptible to, being harmed, to people taking advantage of you, to going to jail. The 12th house also represents jail. And unfortunately, to, overdosing. Like, this Jupiter in the 12th house is the overdose aspect. If we're keeping it all the way 100, too much drugs. You know what I'm saying? And you're doing it, and you're reaching this kind of serene type of place. And it's a very spiritual place for you, but you're like losing consciousness and stuff. It's a mess. Like, people with 12th house energy, like, don't do drugs. Like, I know that sounds so like 1985, but like, for real, y'all don't know how to handle it. And it just really messes with your ability to be able to utilize your gifts. And your gifts have to deal with your intuitiveness, your amazing prophetic mind, especially with Jupiter in the 12th house in this placement. And just your ability to heal people. You don't want to be, you don't really know how to do things in moderation. And when it comes to drugs, especially with Jupiter there, that's why I say it's like a bad idea. But you don't want that interrupting your ability to heal people and ultimately being able to heal yourself. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. Also, this is an energy that, like I said before, the 12th house is great when it comes to creativity and the arts and anything that has to deal with, the performing arts, the visual arts. And because Jupiter is there, you have an abundance of talent. You're very multifaceted in terms of your, skill set. You can kind of like do it all and accomplish it all. So your spiritual healing may actually come in the form of music, may actually come in the form of painting, may actually come in the form of acting, may actually come in the form of photography. I really keep on forgetting to mention photography in these videos, but photography, film, it all kind of coincides together. Spiritual travel, did we discuss that? So, like, okay, obviously this isn't gonna be like literal, like, travel, but you can travel spiritually to other realms while you're dreaming, like in your sleep and stuff like that. Also, I would argue, like, if you're in water, not even just the ocean, but even if you're just in the shower or in a bath, like, and be careful, don't do drugs before doing this, and make sure the water's not too hot. But if you like, go under the water a little bit, it's kind of like you're transporting yourself spiritually to another realm, which is also another way that you get messages. Jupiter has to deal with long distance travel, and what's further in distance than basically the other realm? The veil is very thin for you. You can slide over to that other side very easily. That's why people see wisdom in you. That's why people look up to you. That's why people seek guidance from you, specifically spiritual guidance, because you don't even really need like tarot cards or astrology, like 12th house energy and like, y'all don't really need those tools necessarily. You will use them because you enjoy, studying those things. And Jupiter is a planet that likes to learn, that likes to study and stuff like that. So you'll learn about all of the different various spiritual practices. But intuitively, you just know. Like, you can look at somebody and pick up their energy and know what it is that they need to do with their life. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's it's unexplainable. It's very innate. Like, you can't really, control it. And sometimes, you may see very bad things that are happening to people, and you struggle because you're an energy, like a positive energy, like typically a high vibrational type of energy. So you struggle with when you see things, when you prophesize things that are negative, or like death or harm, or like brutality, or like terror or violence or anything like that. And especially if someone is asking you what do they see, you struggle with being able to tell those types of things, because you really want to be able to relay positive messages, or at least messages that are going to make people grow spiritually and just as a person in their character and things like that. But you have to be honest with people. Don't half-ass, because again, 12th house energy, y'all can embellish, and Jupiter in the 12th house is probably the king of this. You can embellish, you can over exaggerate, you can just simply lie. Big old spiritual lies. So be careful of that energy that you may give off as well. Just big old spiritual lies. And we don't want that. We don't want that. We also don't want you, cheating and stealing and stuff like that. Jupiter is very fortunate. So that's probably not something that you'll be able to do, that you'll need to do. Even if you're homeless, like Jupiter, like, first of all, you're getting money. Like, you're not really going to be homeless. Like, people are going to be like looking out for you. Like, even if you're in a shelter or something like that. But, you can also be, very wealthy, you know what I'm saying, materially, as well as spiritually and emotionally and things like that. But you really, for Jupiter in the 12th house, as long as you have spiritual wealth, you're pretty much fine with that, and don't really need anything else to be fulfilled. And I'm talking about just this placement in general, you know what I'm saying, to be specific. So, yeah, I think I touched base on everything that needed to be said. This is a very interesting placement. It's a lot of things that I've said that I haven't ever said in a video before. So, I never really thought about Jupiter in the 12th house that much, but I find it to be quite interesting. And, yes, it's a very spiritual connection to the other side. Most definitely. Very, very thin veil, very easy to get messages. And you're like a spiritual philosopher. You know what I'm saying? You're like a divination philosopher. You're like an occultist philosopher. You just know all of the things. You're already knowledgeable because you like to study these types of things. And just like, you also just like to study, people and people's energies, and just like what you pick up, So really interesting information. If you happen to have this placement, let me know if this information resonated with you. If you happen to know someone who has this placement and they have been able to read you, like, not like for filth, but just like in general. Just let me know that in the comments. Let me know your stories. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video. And also, thank you guys for getting me over 2,000 subscribers. Woo! We in here! All right, see y'all next time. Bye-bye.